Hey, what's up, everyone? Maury Croson here, and today we're going to be breaking down Jordan Love's throwing motion. We're going to go and hop right into it here. So we see this is against the Texans about 2 weeks ago now. Jordan Love, he is currently third in the NFL with 15 touchdowns, 1,500 yards, 19th. QBR is 55.6. It's 17th. Overall, I think he's playing really well. I know that those numbers don't necessarily indicate that, but he just recently signed for $220 million. And there's a lot of people that were a little bit doubtful as to why the Packers would do that. But I think so far, I mean, they are what, 6-2 now, and really look like they could be one of the top teams in the entire NFL and definitely within the NFC. So we're going to take a look at Jordan Love's release here, starting with as the ball comes out of his hands, 21.455. And then he gets the ball out. We can see at the top here at about 7-8. I think that both of those were, I mean, this was a little bit early here with when he gets the ball out. So 4-2, he's still holding it. 4-5, then he has it out. And then he's out 7-8. It's a little bit late. So I think the combination of both, it's about 0.33, which is a little bit long. He is a taller quarterback. Surprisingly, he's 6'4". I know he doesn't look like he's that big, but he's definitely a pretty big guy. And what really stands out is he does a great job. This is another great example of really two things. One, how tall he ends up getting in the pocket. So as he's even looking, he maintains a lot of height there in the pocket. And then as he's releasing the ball, he does a good job of being able to get very upright. And this is just a common thing that we're seeing time and time again. And I can't put more emphasis on the importance of it, which is this elbow position. Notice how he's getting that elbow all the way forward and through and then releasing the ball. Okay, so we can see the bend in the elbow there. And then from that position, now he's creating that extension and the release. So you can see how far out in front of his body that ball is coming out of his hand. Okay, because I see a lot of people that will release the ball more in this kind of area and struggle with throwing consistently with a lot of power. And I think a lot of that has to do with when are you releasing the football. It's important to understand what that should look like there. Let me get rid of this. This is a good view from the back. This is a really good throw. A little bit longer stride here. He's trying to put a lot of force into the throw. And just notice how well he's able to continue rotation through that front hip. So I was watching a video as Josh Allen talking about with that front leg, why Aaron Rodgers goes through and has that little quick hitch that he does in that front leg. And the reason is to get that hip all the way around. So I'll see a lot of quarterbacks that will kind of struggle with leaning to the side as the ball's coming out with the spine, as opposed to maintaining a very upright position. And a lot of that has to do with what are you doing within that front hip. So as that weight is getting onto that front leg, we want to be able to get the most amount of rotation there and even kind of an upward push to maintain that spine position. So the more that we're able to really sink into that front hip, the better we can maintain a more upright spine. Where if we can't sink into that hip very well, then that's where the spine will end up coming up and over. You'll end up leaning a lot off to the side. Some degree of a lean there isn't bad, but when you get a little excessive with it, then I think that makes it so you end up putting a lot more on the arm rather than being able to use the entire hips. And the reason to do that little front hop or that front leg to kind of pop off to the side is to really assist in getting those hips all the way around to make it so then you can maintain an upright position. This is a really nice throw in that he was able to squeeze it in between two defenders there. Here's another great example of being able to see him sinking into that front hip as he is getting the elbow all the way through. Okay, we can see that elbow getting in front of his head and then him releasing the ball and then finishing all the way through from there. Some people say to keep that front foot or that back foot on the ground. Some people say to lift that back foot off the ground. To me, I think you could do both. It's obvious with a lot of different quarterbacks that they do a combination of different releases there, so you don't have to have one particular release. But we can see, again, really quick job of being able to land and get the ball right out of his hand. And one of the things, too, that I think we want to be able to take a quick look at here as we finish this off is as you're loading with that lower body, I've seen a lot of guys start to do this where they kind of keep that front knee inwards. So we can see front knee in, and then the foot is kind of out to the side more. And what that does is that makes it so you have more rotation in this front leg. So that action there will help load into that back hip a little bit better. And I think it also helps in being able to get that front foot down a little bit sooner, because if you keep that knee in more, then you're not going to be overextending with that leg. So you want to be able to make sure that you're sitting into that back leg and into that back hip while also controlling that front leg, and can maybe even turn your front knee inwards a little bit more to make it so then when your foot hits the ground, we can shift the weight up onto that front leg, and the weight shift can be forward and outwards. It doesn't need to just be forward to make it so then the momentum is coming from the back leg onto the front leg. What's important is not necessarily where is the force going. Obviously, we want it to be going forward, but really, how well are we transitioning off of the back leg onto the front leg? So to say that again, it's more about how well you transition from the back foot onto the front foot, as opposed to putting too much emphasis on if the weight is going towards the target or not going towards the target. That's why a lot of the guys can end up putting a lot of on the force on the throw or velocity on the throw, even though they're stepping way out to the side, because they're still able to transition the weight from the back foot onto the front foot. And then it's just about getting your hand into the right position. So in terms of where the ball is going to go, in terms of accuracy, then the arm needs to be going towards the target, obviously. But in terms of the weight shift, the weight does not have to necessarily be going towards the target for you to be able to generate a lot of force and also be accurate within the throw. So that's just something to consider when going through that front step. I think it's important to get that front foot down as quickly as possible. But if the weight is going a little bit off to the side as opposed to going forward, I don't think that's the end of the world when it comes to being able to generate a lot of power, a lot of force into your throw. So as always, guys, I hope you like the information. If you do, click that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. And if you have any questions, comments, or recommendations, you can leave those down below. We'll have a couple videos for some other options of videos to watch right now, and we'll talk to you soon.